by what happens out in the arena of the pop culture and
absolutely.
So on. And my heart goes out to everybody right now who's making music, and the independents, and there's a great platform now. I mean, there's so much available to musicians. You know, right on your laptop you can record. It's really important. Make music in this time, and I hope we can get back to more live music. We got to feed the masses with some music, I'll tell you.
Absolutely.
Lower the temperature a little bit out there, you know.
I was really intrigued when I first heard your music, and I thank Doug for putting us together. Your music, there's definitely the blues strain in it, but you get some folk music feeling out of it, even though it's funkier than folk music. It's definitely got that blues in the blood. But if you listen to your music and try to say, this is a blank tune, there isn't one word that describes it.
Well, yeah, I know some reviewers have also said the same thing. I mean, it's Americana, it's blues, it can be this or that. It could be, some people say it's like Delta blues, but it's said in the end, it's none of these. It's just America and the U.S. really. And then I went to India, and you just played this man's music. And
right.
So, I have some Hindu consciousness in there sometimes thrown in. It sort of lays down underneath there as well.
Well, I've ranted more than once in the past about the over dependence on genres and categorizing everything. I understand that for broadcast you need to compartmentalize, but as far as music is concerned, it is what it is, as you just said. John Bon Jovial, I can see you're just gnawing at the bit, want to get in here.
Yeah. First of all, Fred, welcome to the show. It is really quite nice to have you on with us, and especially knowing that you're living in a part of the world that I hailed from for a little while out there in the great Puget Sound of Washington State. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Taming the Wolf. Now, as I tell all of our guests, and I'll tell you the same thing, I never get to hear the music until we actually play it on air like we just did. And that is by design, so David can get a gut reaction to it. And I liked it because I myself tapping my foot to it. And I don't do that with everything. I like what you do. And now, originality is something that's very important to me, and I hear a lot of originality in what you're doing. But I also hear influences of John Lee Hooker, and not because you're howling, but just because I hear that gritty style of voice work, and I also hear Fogerty's slow hand, and the combination of everything plus what Fred Hostetler is putting into it, I think is magic formula there.
I don't know what to say. I am what I am. And I also agree with David about music and genres and things like that. And looking back, again, the young people who are coming up, there's lots of energy and talent, but they're being sort of like crammed into a brand, make your brand, that takes time. Just keep going and do what comes from. Don't worry about.
But wouldn't it be a case of play what feels right to you?
That's right. That's it. In other words, that's the heart. That comes from has to come from the heart. They used to say, "Write me a song like this." The record company. I'm sorry, I couldn't do it. I just can't do that. I have to do what I do.
I know Tommy James, when he was on the show, he has a tremendous book out, and he talked to us about the fact that when he went and got signed to his first contract with Hanky Panky with Roulette Records in New York, which was, at that time was it was a front for the mob, actually, and he hasn't been able to publish his story until several people went on to the next life. But one of the things he said was the label he was expecting the label to come to him and tell him, okay, this is what's working. This is what we want you to do. And he said he was totally thrown by the fact they turned to him and said, well, what do you want to do next? Because as it turned out, they had no idea what to do with a hit artist. In that respect, Tommy was very fortunate because he got to do just that. And a group that we had on last week, young rockers from England. They call themselves Wild Horse. And we talked with them about the fact that they are doing just what you said. They are going where it feels good. Their music is, by today's categorizations, it's indie alternative rock. But what they're doing is they're going out in different areas with each song. You never hear the exact same thing twice. They don't have their next record sounds like the one they just did. They're exploring and doing what feels right to them, and it works. It not only gives variety, but it brings the best in the music maker. And I agree with you 100% on that. And you have shown that just on the tracks I've heard. I know our listeners haven't all heard more than just the one track. And yes, John Bon Jovial, I like to get his gut reaction, because my philosophy is a lot of my listeners are going to be hearing an artist for the first time, and I want to get that first time feel of what someone who has been in the business reacts the first time they hear your music.
Okay.
Now tell us, India, I know you just came back, in 18 from 17 years over in India.
Yeah. Before I say that, though, when you were talking there about how they change up, they're changing up. I just got done finishing a 5-song EP, which is my next release in January. Well, that's going to be different from this, I'll tell you. It moves into a different territory. But then I'll return again to something more like this. But anyhow, that was basically the Blue by Nature, Karen Lawrence and Blue by Nature, who we were on your show once before. Karen Lawrence. We had a band there in Southern California, and when that band sort of broke up there, I just said, okay, it's time for a break. And as things worked out, I needed time for reflection. So basically, it was sort of a journey of self-discovery over there. And I worked out in a village, and we did public service there, water projects, and free sewing classes and free water projects and books for the public. So it was a life of, service, so to speak, at that point. And I came back. But I felt when I came back, I wanted to, some things I didn't get to do, I wanted to do. And so I picked up where I left off. But boy, think of those years between 2000 and 2017. Oh my gosh, the whole social media thing exploded. Everything turned on its head. So, I have had to learn a lot.
John Bon Jovial wants to get back in here again, so I'm going to open the door. John, it's yours.
Okay.
Yeah, well, no, I wanted to. You, Fred, you touched on the whole social media thing. There, social media has been condemned, and justifiably so, for so many ills placed on society. But one thing that it has done, which is a wonderful thing, at least as far as I'm concerned, is it has made it possible for musicians to get their music out there, get the word about the life that they live and the music that they play and the philosophies that they have and the people that they're trying to reach. And so social media, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, and all these places have made it really much easier now for the independent musician, the indie artist, to get the word out about themselves now, instead of having to rely on the, cigar chomping record executive sitting up on the 50th floor of the Capitol Record Building in Los Angeles. And so for that, I think that social media should be praised because there's so much that is wrong with it, but this is one thing that's absolutely right about it.
It's a new era. It's
the
old ways are gone. It's not going back, and
that's true.
So that's why I try to jump in and like you say, learn about social media. And I didn't grow up with it, so I'm not an expert at using it, but I'm interested, and I try to learn and grow. And I've seen it work. I started with nothing. I never had a solo career before. I'm always in bands. I'm always helping. I'm part of the band, but I don't have my own career. So it's new to me, starting from zero when I got back. and you're totally unaware of anything, and you have to start everything over. Nobody knows you. Nobody remembers what's been done. Nobody knows anything. So it's an amazing thing to watch things slowly grow, and it does start picking up. It does start picking up and building little by little, and till you have people all over the world, even though it's only a few years. I see them on there. They're listening around the world. I can see them come up because now you can see where you have fans because of Spotify and social media. You can. So it's just, you're right, and it's an amazing thing. If we can just get back to musicians playing live again,
and that's coming.
That is what really can help. Yeah.
Right, we're slowly getting back there. And John and I have talked several times. We're both former broadcast mavens, and we've talked many times about the fact that, in all of our broadcast career, no matter how successful, how big the station, we never had the audience that we have today just through this podcast. It's around the world. I mean, we have listeners all over the place. And to that point, you mentioning having been in India, we have friends of the show who run a music magazine in India, Lazy Indie Music Magazine. And I'm going to make sure they get to listen to this show and get to hear you and your music and the mention of the fact that you did spend 18 years over in their country. I'm sure they will be very interested. So don't be surprised if they get in touch with you too. Now, before we run out of time, before we let you go, we want to do what we do with all of our guests, and that's give you a chance to do your own commercial. This is the part where you get to tell the folks how they can find you, follow you, contact you, and of course, most of all, buy your music. So go right ahead and tell them.
Okay. Of course, I'm on Spotify. My name is Fred Hostetler, so you can always go there. And fredsheartradio.com is my website. Fred's Heart Radio, all one word, .com. And you can see my songs are up there. You can purchase things there. And my Facebook page is Facebook at Blue by Nature, or just look my name up, Fred Hostetler or Hostetler, Hostetler. And I'm on Instagram and Twitter as well. And it's great to be on the show and have this opportunity to talk with you guys again. And, hey, thank you for doing your work.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for gracing us with your presence and sharing your stories and your music, of course. And we've got about 30 seconds left, so I'm going to let you introduce and tell us a little bit about I'm a New Man.
I'm a New Man. That was inspired by Walter Trout. I wrote it for him because I found out when I was in India that he almost died, and I knew him from playing back in Southern California clubs, and so I wrote that song about him because he's back on the street. I had talked to him when I returned from India, and he told me about it, and he really liked this one song. So I said, well, I'll write a song like that, but I made it about him without him knowing it. So that's what I'm a New Man is. That's Walter's comeback, in a way, into the world after he almost died some years back. He's a renowned blues guy, if people don't know.
Great story. I spent about several years in Southern California and working in the clubs myself, so we have a common point there we can talk about another time. Right now, I got to get going and let the folks hear I'm a New Man. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Fred Hostetler.